up guys, welcome back to my channel, and in today's episode we're going to be talking about novel series, or another name for them is an episodic fiction. We're going to be talking about what exactly a novel serial is, some of the pros and cons. I'll also be giving you a little bit of an example of some novel series that I've found, and then we're also going to be talking about the structure of a novel serial and how it is different to structuring a typical full-length novel. So if that sounds good to you, keep on watching. First time on my channel, welcome. My name is Anna. I post writing related content here on YouTube every Thursday. That includes writing vlogs and also writing tips for new authors. I'm currently in the process of self-publishing my debut novel serial, which is a retelling of Aladdin. So if you would like to follow me on my self-publishing journey, click the subscribe button down below and also click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any one of my videos. And with that being said, let's talk novel serials. So first, let's talk about what exactly is a novel serial. A novel serial, or an episodic fiction, is kind of think of it like a television show but in written form. So what happens is the story gets released in episodes, and these episodes are usually released as a digital ebook. And then what happens is once all the episodes are released, then they get bound together in a physical copy, so it actually becomes almost like a full-length novel, and that becomes a season. Now in terms of each episode is actually quite short. They range from about the 10,000 to 35,000 word range, as opposed to a standard typical novel, which is anything over 50,000 words. These episodes are also rapid release, and what rapid release is that they come out back to back to back. So this is usually say once every week or once every couple of weeks or even once a month. And as I mentioned before, these are released as a digital ebook, and these can be on sites such as Amazon Kindle, Apple iBooks, or even Google, and places like that. And then as for the season, which as I mentioned is when once all the episodes are released, they are bound together, and these are bound together in a physical copy. So as I mentioned, it becomes like a standard full-length novel, which are then released as usually a paperback or a hardcover or even an audiobook as well. So think of it as like a Netflix series. You know, with Netflix you have all the episodes streamed together on Netflix digitally, and then what happens is once all the episodes are on Netflix or they've been out for a while, then what happens is they get released together as a DVD box set, and that becomes your physical copy. So some examples of novel series that I found is the Sacrifice Me series by Sarah Cannon, and also the Charlie Travesty series by Jesse Elliott and J.K. Sun. I'll have a link to their series down below if you want to go check them out to give yourself some examples of some novel serials. So now we've talked through what exactly a novel serial is, let's go through some of the pros and cons of writing a novel serial. So first off, let's start off with pros. And the first pro that there is that they're actually quick to release. Now to publish a standard full-length novel, it can take anywhere from a year and over, from when you first start writing it to when it actually gets published. By the time you get it outlined, written, edited and all that, it can take, as I mentioned, anywhere from a year and over. However, with a novel serial, because each episode is quite short, you can actually get it written, edited and all that a lot sooner. So with my novel serial, for example, I'm doing a retelling of Aladdin. If I wanted to release it as a standard full-length novel, and so I started writing it in June, I estimated I would probably get it published around October, November next year. However, because I'm now creating it as a serial with episodes, I estimated that the first episode will actually come out at around April, May next year. And then the next episode will be released after that, and then the next episode will be released after that, which is definitely a lot sooner as opposed to October or November next year. The second pro that there is to writing a novel serial is that it actually creates bingeable content. So again, if you think of a Netflix series and how extremely bingeable that is, you know what I'm talking about, guys. You know how it is. You're there, you're streaming a TV show you love, you're there, you're watching an episode and you're like, I'll just finish watching an episode, just this one episode, and then I'll get up and do what I need to do. And then that episode ends, the second one begins, and you repeat the circle all over again. Oh, well, this episode has started now, so I'm just going to finish watching this episode, and then I'll get up and do what I need to do. Yeah, I see you, Netflix bingers. I see you. Your novel series could potentially be the same because, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the episodes are rapid release, so they come out every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every month. Because of that, and because each episode is quite short, by the time your readers have finished one episode, which chances are because the episode is so short, they would get through it quite quickly. By the time they finish reading that episode, the next episode will already be there ready for them to read. And then it repeats. Once they finish that episode, then the third episode will be there ready for them to read, and so on and so on. The third pro to writing a novel series is that it can actually be a lot cheaper. The reason for this is if you are writing a full-length novel, you would have to do the cover for the paperback, a hardcover if you wish, and also if you wish to do an audiobook as well, which to do all those could add up to quite a bit. However, if you're writing a novel series, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the episodes are released as a digital ebook. And with cover designers, ebook covers are a lot more cheaper than covers for a paperback or a hardcover. And not only this, sometimes what authors do, because the episodes come out back to back, what authors of novel series tend to do is they usually work with the cover designer to get all the covers for the episodes done all at once, all together. And sometimes when you do this, sometimes when you have 3 or 4 covers at the same time, some book cover designers offer a discount, so you can actually get a discount for this. I'm actually working with a book cover designer called More Book Designs. I have a link to their website down below if you want to go check that out. But because I'm getting all the covers for all my episodes done all at once, they're actually offering me a discount for it. So that's the way that designing book covers for series can actually be a little bit more cheaper than a traditional full-length novel. But not only can book cover designing be cheaper, but also editing can actually be a little bit cheaper as well. Because editors usually tend to charge per word, and as I've mentioned quite a few times now, episodes in a novel series are usually a lot more shorter. It won't take editors as long to edit and go through. Therefore, they won't be charging as much as if they were to edit a big full-length novel. So that's some of the pros of writing a novel series. Now there are a couple of cons to writing a novel series as well, and they are as follows. Number one is that novel series is a little bit more of a newer format, and also it's not a lot of formats that a lot of authors tend to gravitate to. And because of this, what I found is that there's not a lot of information out there about novel series. Even when I was sort of looking up novel series, even here on YouTube or anywhere, I found that there wasn't a lot of information out there, or a lot of places that you could find novel series or episodic fiction. As I mentioned before on this channel, there is an author here on YouTube. Her name is Brittany Wang, that's actually currently writing her novel series titled Project Handmaidens, and she's actually releasing a lot of great content about writing novel series here on YouTube. I have a link to her channel and actually her serial playlist down below. If you want to go check that out and want more information about novel series, go check that out down below. The second con there is, and it kind of ties in with the first one, because this is a little bit more of a newer format and a format not a lot of authors tend to gravitate towards, neither do readers. And what I mean by this is that, not that readers don't necessarily read novel series, but when they do, they often don't realise that it is a novel series. For instance, with Jesse Elliott and J.K. Sutton with their Charlie Travesty series, I heard them mention once that readers loved the story, but a lot of complaints they had were that the story is too short, that it's not finished. And because they didn't realise that the story continues on, that there are more books to read. Because they weren't really familiar with the concept of a series and what it is, they didn't realise that there's actually more to the story. They just thought that that one little short story was it. And the third con that there is to writing a novel series is money. Unfortunately, publishing a novel series isn't the best way to make money. The reason for this is, say you were releasing a full-length novel as an ebook, you would usually charge anywhere from anything over $5.99. And usually this goes to about the $12.99 range, give or take. However, when you're releasing episodes of a novel series, each episode is only about 99 cents to $1.99. Because of the fact that it is such a short story, you're not going to charge, say, $12.99 for a 20-page book. And then not to mention the fact that then you've also got to add royalties. I think in a 99-cent book, your royalties would be about 30 cents, I believe. And obviously because of this, you would have to sell a lot more episodes of your novel series than, a copy of your full-length novel. So if you are wanting to get into being an author because of money, probably publishing a novel series wouldn't be the best way to go. So now let's talk about some of the reasons why people write novel series. Number one is to create buzz on their full-length novel. So what a lot of authors tend to do is say they have a full-length novel. What sometimes they might do is they might create a novel series based on the main character of that novel. You know, they might do a novel series about their backstory, about their history, how they got to the place that they're at the beginning of their full-length novel. So it creates a little bit of interest about that main character. They get readers interested into their world. So by the time it gets to their full-length novel, people already know their world. People already start to know the characters and then will hopefully gravitate towards that full-length novel. The second reason why authors tend to write novel series is because of that quick release. As I mentioned when I talked about the pros, the first one is that writing a novel series is quicker to publish than a full-length novel. Sometimes what authors do while they're waiting for their full-length novel to be released, they might write, a quick novel series just so they can get something published, just so they can get something out there to readers and start building a following, start building an audience. So now let's talk about structuring a novel series. Now, the structure of a novel series, because it is a bit more of a TV show format, as opposed to a novel, if you think about a novel as being more of a movie format, because of the fact that novel series are more of a TV show format, it does require a little bit of a different structure. It does require a bit more of a TV show structure. So to help me structure each episode of my novel series, I actually took Shonda Rhimes' Masterclass in how to write a TV show. I have a link in the description below if you want to go check that out. I highly recommend it if you are writing a novel series, or even if you're writing short stories, or even if you are a script writer and writing a TV show of your own. So now I'm going to actually take you to my computer and show you the different structures of my episodes for my novel series. Okay, so here we have Scrivener, and what I've done is I've just sort of listed out all the different beats or plot points of the episodes of my novel. And basically what I've done is I've kind of got these different beats or plot points from a couple of different sources, and I kind of gelled them together to kind of create my own. The first place I got it from is Shonda Rhimes' Masterclass that I just mentioned. Again, I'll have a link in the description below if you want to go check that out. It is her masterclass on how to write a TV show, which I thought was fitting because, as I mentioned, a novel series is like a television show but in written form. So, and this is a good tip for you if you want to write a novel series. It helps to kind of learn about TV show structure. If you want to write a novel series, to kind of help your episodes flow a lot better and a lot more smooth and kind of give it that more television show feel, if you will. And then the second place that I got it from is Save the Cat Writes a Novel. But anyway, let's talk about the plot structure that I use to outline my episodes. Now, the first thing to note about structuring a novel series episode is that it is a 5-act structure that you can see here. It's got 5 acts, and each act serves a different purpose. So let's go through them now. So we have Act 1, which is like your introduction act. This not only introduces your character and your world, but it's basically where the old life ends. So the 2 beats that I have for this act is I have your opening image, which introduces your character and the world in an exciting way. So it should be visual, it should be intriguing and really draw the readers in. And then the second beat is the inciting incident. And this is where you present your problem for the episode. It can be big or dramatic, and it can be something quiet, but it's something that the readers lean into, something the readers want to know more of. And as I mentioned, this is where the old life ends. And what I mean by old life ends is that the inciting incident is usually something that shifts your character from their everyday life into something new, something different. And then we have Act 2, which if I scroll down a little, this is the beginning of the new life, and this is also where things heat up for the characters. So the first beat I have is the fun and games beat / B story, which is from Save the Cat Writes a Novel. And this is basically where you extend the world so we can get a better understanding of the world and the characters. And this is where we also introduce new characters to the story. And I also wrote here that it establishes a main place for your characters to hang out for the rest of the season. This is just something that Shonda Rhimes mentions in her Masterclass. It is not really a hard and fast rule, but it's just something that she mentioned. And then the second beat is things heat up. This is where, as I mentioned, things heat up for your characters. Things, again, take a turn, which, as I just mentioned before, each act should serve that purpose. The end of each act should push your character in that new direction, should give your character that push into something different. And then, again, we scroll down to Act 3. Now, Act 3 is the middle of your story. And again, the first beat that I have for this is fun and games. This is what I've called the calm before the storm, or the calm before the midpoint twist, which brings us to the second beat of this act, and this is the things take a turn / the midpoint. And this is where things take a turn for the worst or most exciting, as this goes in a direction that you wouldn't expect to go in. This is also where you get really worried or really exciting, and readers should be hanging off the edge of the seat at this point. So you might be starting to see almost like a pattern with the different acts with each act. So each act has 2 beats, and the first beat is usually the introduction. It's the character just going along, doing whatever they need to do. And then the second beat is where something takes a turn. Something shifts, something happens to push that character in that new direction. Each act is usually structured like that and follows that similar pattern. So then we have Act 4, and this is when a ticking clock appears. So the first beat that we have is the ticking clock / bad guys close in. This is where your character realizes that they have a ticking clock. They have a certain amount of time that they need to do something. If there is no ticking clock in your story, this is where the character usually shows who they really are. This is where they dig deep down. This is where they realize what it is they really need. This is where they really figure out who they are and really figure out what they need to do. Which brings us to the second beat, and this is the all is lost / dark night of the soul. And this is the moment that pushes a character into the whatever action that they need to take. The dark night of the soul, this is where your character reacts to whatever happened in their ticking clock / bad guys close in beat. Action, reaction. This is where your character reacts to that and again realizes what it is that they need to do. And then this is what pushes them to take that action they need to take. So we have the finale. This is the final battle or the final action. And then we have the final image, which is the final scene of your story. Let me know in the comments down below if you're currently writing a novel serial, and if you aren't, if writing a novel serial is potentially something you'd like to do in the future. Let me know in the comments down below. I love to stay in chat with you guys and talk all things novel serials with you. If you like this video, smash that like button. You can also follow me on socials at author Anna Zapia. The link will be in the description down below, and I'll chat with you guys in my next video.